Have you ever seen anything like this before? The 2020 Iowa Derecho. Absolutely mind-blowing. What's going on, everyone? This is Erik with the Get Me Out of Here vlog. Today is going to be a little more serious. I'm here in Marion, Iowa, which is a suburb of Cedar Rapids, the second largest city in the state of Iowa. 2 weeks ago, eastern Iowa and western Illinois was hit by a devastating storm system known as a derecho. Wind speeds up to estimated to be 140 miles an hour, hurricane wind speeds, crushed these communities. You can see tree branches are down all over the place, rooftops blown off, a lot of destruction. I decided to come here today. It's about 2 weeks since this storm system has passed through this area. The storm came through here on August 10th. Today is August 22nd. And I thought I would survey some of the damage and help some of my family members that live here in the Cedar Rapids, Marion region. I was gonna come here a couple of weeks ago, but because I live in Chicago and because the coronavirus rates are higher in that area, I didn't want to risk getting my grandmother sick, my aunt and uncle sick. So I was tested again. I'm currently negative and decided to come out this weekend and help clean things up and survey and document the damage and destruction in this community. You can see behind me, this is Marion. Tree branches everywhere, all along the street side. They've since been picked up. People are cleaning things up in their yards as best as they can. But everywhere I look, you can see water damaged furniture, tree branches, insulation scattered everywhere from rooftops being blown apart, fences, pieces of fences being down. People are making the most of this, picking up all that they can, and it looks like a lot of it right now has been cleaned off the yards and piled along the sides of the streets to be hauled away. to a landfill and to a dump. I want to show you what Cedar Rapids looks like 2 weeks after this historic derecho crushed the Midwest. Follow me. Standing outside my grandma's house, she was very lucky. Damage was minimal compared to many other people in the community here. You could see this massive tree branch here was ripped apart. And then she has a lot of shingles missing on the roof. And also some of the fascia there along the side of the house was ripped off. Other than that, most of the tree branches and leaves have been picked up and placed here at the side of the road. You can see all the neighbors. Check this out. Look at all the tree branches sitting at the side of the road waiting to be picked up. And this is 2 weeks after this powerful storm system. Still a lot of cleanup to be done. This is all damaged from flooding. You can see here the home, the roof, oh my gosh, completely ripped off. Let's take a look at that. The roof is completely gone, completely ripped off. So I'm assuming all this was flooded and now left out to be tossed away. Entire trees cut down. Look at this. This tree snapped just above the base. Unbelievable. Look at the fencing up here too. Everywhere you go in Marion and Cedar Rapids, Iowa, there's debris that has been picked up, now accumulated along the street side. Look at this. So this is facing west right here. This is east. So the wind would have been blowing this direction, completely blew this fence over. This is plastic. Okay, so it's not an iron fence like I thought it was, but it is still, it's a hard plastic fence completely blown over. God even knows what this is. This looks like, it's like cotton. I have no idea. Oh, you know what? This might be insulation from the house, from the roof. Holy cow, I think this is insulation when the roof was ripped apart, just blown all over the place. Every yard has it. Unbelievable. And again, this is 2 weeks after the fact. The storm hit on August 10th. Today is August 22nd. So here's the scene in my grandma's backyard here in Marion, Iowa. You could see a lot of damage in the fencing. Some of the fascia off the side of the shed there has been ripped off. And holy cow, look at the neighbor's deck. Obliterated. You can see all the way down the fence line. Pieces of the fencing have been blown away. Also, take a look at the roof across the way here, completely gone. You can hear the sound of chainsaws all over the neighborhood as families are trying to put together what was destroyed. Lots of trees were blown over, uprooted, knocked down during this windstorm. In fact, I think 50% of the trees in the city of Cedar Rapids are completely destroyed. So what is a derecho? Well, basically what a derecho is, it's a mesoscale convective system, which is a complex system of storms that aligns and becomes one. So basically when this derecho hit, there was a long line of severe thunderstorms that stretched north to south across the Midwest, originating in western Iowa, and blowing eastward across the states of Iowa, parts of Minnesota, Missouri, and into Wisconsin, Illinois, and then further into Michigan, Indiana, and eventually Ohio. Eastern Iowa was affected the most by this storm. Now, the physical characteristics of a derecho is a shelf cloud that passes through, and once that passes, very, very strong straight line winds become apparent. In this case, in Cedar Rapids, it's estimated that wind speeds up to 140 miles an hour happened here. That's hurricane force wind speeds. And I believe that could be even hurricane or category 3 hurricane force wind speeds, which is unprecedented. We're not used to seeing that. Now, derechos aren't uncommon here in the Midwest. They happen ever so often throughout the years, but a derecho and wind speeds at this large magnitude of a scale is definitely very unique, and this is a historic storm that happened here on August 10th, 2020. And there go the tornado sirens here in Schaumburg. And here comes the wind. Check it out, pea-sized hail. Great. Pretty wild, man.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So you guys are just going yard to yard, picking that up?
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yes.
How many hours have you been working the last 2 weeks?
A lot. Well, Monday we started, my crew happened to start at 6 a.m. that morning. We didn't go home until 9 o'clock Tuesday morning. Went home for 4 hours, and then we've been pulling 14 hours.
Really?
7 days a week ever since.
You're working overnight too?
What's that?
Working overnight.
Well, we start early enough in the morning, and
okay.
yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Depends on who's coming out yelling at us and complaining about the noise, you know, because they need their sleep.
How's it looking now compared to like a week ago? making progress?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. Well, we didn't get these guys started because we've been doing everything on our own.
Yeah.
I'm actually with the city. Started everything on our own just to get the streets open. I mean, we had to get fire trucks and ambulances into places, so that was the hardest part for us.
Sure.
And these guys actually started last Wednesday, and we have 18 of them in town right now running. Which, in town, there's 10 down there just because that's the most dense.
Sure.
I mean, there's still 8 blocks in town that we haven't got opened up yet just to get utility poles reset. I mean, trying to make room for Alliance. So
right.
they got those going, and then they tried to split up. So like, this is my normal plow route in the winter.
Sure.
So I know the route, I know where the fire hydrants are, where stuff's at.
Sure.
And that's what they're trying to do. So we'll get there. It's just, I want to get it all off before snow.
Yeah,
you know?
I hear you.
This is gonna suck.
Oh yeah.
If we get snow on the ground.
We got a couple months still, but hey, I appreciate the hard work.
You
Keep
bet.
it up. Yeah,
We're
really
trying.
appreciate it.
We'll get there. It's gonna take a little bit of time.
It's definitely a historic event, so.
Oh yeah, no doubt, right?
Yeah, hopefully something that we don't see again in our lifetime.
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
But I appreciate your hard work. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Take care. So I wanted to stop and show this off. This is the Granger House. This is a historic home here in Marion, Iowa, just north of Cedar Rapids. It was built in 1848, and you can see, I'll show a picture here of the damage shortly after the storm right here. So you can see that the entire roof here was destroyed, blown off, brick and debris all over the yard here. I'm actually very impressed. Since that happened, they already have built what looks like a temporary roof, or have already started constructing another roof on top of this. So it's good to see they're making some progress. I've actually never toured this home. It's something I've been meaning to do over the years. So hopefully they're able to preserve this historic home here in Marion, Iowa. It took a lot of damage during the derecho, but it looks like they're making small progress and steps to rebuild and hopefully open it up again soon. I also wanted to show that you can see debris from the house littered all over the curb right here. Pieces of the roof just waiting to be picked up and taken away. A historic home here in Marion, Iowa, the Cedar Rapids area that I wanted to show. It took a lot of damage, but there's plenty more to see around this whole community, so follow me. See there? Garage door's open. This is the view from the front yard of my uncle's house here in Marion. Look at all this tree debris. Most of it from this massive tree right here that fell on his car. But the entire neighborhood is like this. Just absolutely unbelievable. The amount of destruction that has happened in this city, and just all the work that's been done to pile up tree branches along the side of the road to be picked up. I've never seen anything like this. The closest thing that I can think of comparable to this that I've witnessed was an F2 tornado that went through Iowa City, Iowa back in 2006 when I was a college student there. But that wasn't anywhere near as widespread as this storm. That was maybe a quarter of a mile path of destruction through Iowa City, but this is everywhere, everywhere. And this is just Cedar Rapids and Marion, the Cedar Rapids metro area here. But all this damage goes on for miles and miles and miles across the Iowa countryside as well. I've never seen anything like this before. It's unbelievable. And here's the backyard. He had to completely cut down this tree, a tree over there on the far end, and trim these down. This one's basically gone. Just incredible. Just look at this. Completely uprooted. I can't even imagine this. Wind blowing so strong that the entire tree fell over and was uprooted. I've never seen anything like this in my life. It's amazing to see that the grass, the dirt is still intact on the root system itself. It just completely uplifted as if somebody took a giant shovel and kicked it over. Even the sidewalk here, look at that, is uneven because of the roots being dragged. Look at this. Look at this. The powers of the wind. Mother Nature at its worst. A derecho. The 2020 derecho. All right, well, let's keep looking. See what else we can find here in the Cedar Rapids metro area. Will you take a look at this? It's some kind of radio tower or communication tower, completely blown over, collapsed due to the high wind speeds of the derecho. This is just east of Marion, Iowa. Look at this. Just collapsed here in the middle of this cornfield. Just incredible. Again, the power of the wind, the power of Mother Nature. Hurricane force winds in Iowa. It's absolutely mind-blowing. Something like this. I'm almost speechless right now. I've never seen anything like this in my life. It just goes to show how widespread the damage was with this storm, whether it was cities like Cedar Rapids, smaller towns scattered throughout eastern Iowa between Des Moines and the Quad Cities along the Mississippi River, or even silos and radio towers, communication towers and such out here in the middle of farmland America. It's absolutely mind-blowing. I am glad that these towers here have withstood this storm. These towers out here are definitely maybe 5 times taller than this thing is, so that would have been an absolute disaster had those fallen. Something you don't see every day. Almost looks like a roller coaster track from this angle. Here's the top of the tower. This is insane. So you can see it failed towards the base of the tower. Completely destroyed the fencing. Well, now you know what a collapsed communication tower looks like here in the Midwest. Another casualty from the historic derecho of 2020. This is where some of the highest recorded wind speeds took place. 126 miles an hour near Atkins, Iowa. Category 3 hurricane force winds. Look at the cornfields here. This is an excellent view of the damage on my right. The corn stalks are completely bent over, laying flat on the ground, blown away, all leaning to the east. Absolutely decimated. Millions of acres of farmland destroyed throughout the Midwest due to this derecho. Billions of dollars worth of damage. I read somewhere that I think up to a third of the farmland of the sweet corn was destroyed due to the wind speeds of this derecho. You can see that silo up ahead on my left, the top of it completely destroyed. It looks like there's a lot of debris up here near the farmhouse as well. Wow, like it must have been a utility shed or a barn. Some scraps there on my right. Cows look okay. No flying cows. Here we are in Atkins, Iowa, where the highest wind speeds were recorded. You can tell a lot of tree limbs and trees had fallen over. There's cedar and wood debris all over the sides of the street, but overall it looks like the community here has done an excellent job in cleaning things up. Really nothing left but wood chips. A couple piles there on my right. Wow, look at the silos to my left. Completely crunched. Crunched like pop cans. It's incredible. I think these people are right on with this sign, and for good reason. This massive pine tree fell on their house. Here's a better angle. Luckily, could have been a lot worse. Didn't fall all the way through. I'm approaching the town of Midway, Iowa, which is located north of Cedar Rapids and Marion, Iowa. And this is where 112 mile-an-hour wind gusts were recorded during the derecho, some of the fastest wind speeds on record. Just a very small town, but I thought I would drive around this town as well and see what the damage looks like and how the community is doing. Notice the sign here, Homelight Chainsaws. They've got to be doing very well right now throughout this whole cleanup process. So yeah, overall, it looks very well cleaned up here for the most part. Again, a lot of tree damage. and some damage to homes, siding being ripped off, shingles. But 2 weeks later, overall, if this is where the, oh, that's really cool, that tree root to my right. But this is where one of the highest wind speeds were recorded during this storm system. And they've done a hell of a great job cleaning up, it looks like, since then. Wow. Look at this. This area has been affected, I think, the most. This is all a wooded area near Oak Hill Cemetery, just east of downtown Cedar Rapids. And look at the amount of damage to the trees here. Holy cow. Look at this. This is incredible. So my grandpa and grandma used to live on the other side of this wooded region, and they lived there for decades, a long, long time. I used to go to that house all the time. So I used to hike in these woods as a kid and a teenager. And this, look at this. Holy cow. There's nothing left. Look at all the trees are, everything's destroyed. I think this is the most affected area. This is unbelievable. So I'm gonna drive by my grandma's old house, the house that my mom grew up in. Look at this, the electrical wires hanging down too. Look at this. So right up here on the right is the house my grandma used to live in for decades, from like the 1950s till 2007. Right here on the right, that gray house, or that dark blue house. Holy cow, look at the amount of tree debris on the road. Jeez. This is an absolute disaster zone. Luckily, a lot of the houses look to be in pretty good shape. Overall, I'm gonna go down the hill. Just look at this. And there's some branches in the street. What a disaster. And this is 2 weeks after the derecho hit. So I can't even imagine what this looked like a week ago. Well, it's definitely been a lot to take in today. So much damage throughout not just the Cedar Rapids area, but throughout most of eastern Iowa, in western Illinois, and I think even other parts of the Midwest. This derecho that hit about 2 weeks ago was absolutely devastating to these communities. I think I read that it's estimated that 50% of the trees in the Cedar Rapids metro area alone will be either, if they haven't already been cut down, they will be cut down. So about 50% of the trees in this region have been destroyed due to the derecho. Hundreds of thousands of people throughout the Midwest were without power. My grandma was out without power for about a week until she had that restored. She was living off a generator for a while, but a lot of people have not been that lucky, and some people are still out of power today. So I know that the communities here are working very hard to get power up and running again, getting debris and tree branches and tree trunks and trees cut down and removed from the streets and properties. But it's just a lot to take in. It's something that it's really hard to put in words. I've never seen anything quite like this. And it's interesting for me too, having been born here in Cedar Rapids, growing up here. Cedar Rapids is really kind of a second home to me because I've had relatives that have lived here throughout most of my life. So usually come to Cedar Rapids at least a couple times a year. But yeah, it's It's mind-blowing to see the destruction here. Not only are people having to close their businesses and deal with financial hardships due to the government shutdowns during this pandemic, now the people here in the Midwest are also dealing with cleanup, homes being destroyed, and further businesses unable to operate due to the lack of electricity and power. So one thing that people can be blessed about is I believe there's only been 3 deaths related to this storm, which is unbelievable and a miracle to think in and of itself. Something this destructive, only 3 people lost their lives. But people are rebuilding their homes and having to rebuild their lives. Houses have been damaged and some even destroyed due to the high winds of this destructive derecho that blew through here. If you do want to help, I will post a link below for the Greater Cedar Rapids Community Foundation. You can donate money there to help storm victims and people in need, rebuilding their homes, rebuilding their businesses, and rebuilding their lives. So it's definitely been an eye-opener for me being back here in Cedar Rapids. I haven't been back in this region for about 9 months around the holiday season, and it's absolutely devastating seeing everything that's been affected around here. So if I see anything else on my way to Illinois, I will pull over and share that with you. But for now, I think it is time for me to get out of here. Thanks for watching.
I've seen the best of both worlds, but it's Iowa that I love. It's good to see the Cedar Rapids smile.